Chas Marini is a senior at BYU-Idaho who is finishing up his last semester at school. Chas is currently an engineer at the radio station on campus. His love for radio started long before he first got hired by the station.
When I was 5 years old, my parents got me a clock radio for my birthday. I don't know why. It was just kind of, here, have, it was one of my small gifts. And it had an FM and AM radio on it. And I had that radio from the time I was 5 till the time I was probably 20. And nights I couldn't sleep, I would actually turn this radio dial and try to see how far stations I could get. I don't know why I was doing it, but it just entertained me. I couldn't sleep, so why not just see what I had? And I'd keep like a record of how far I could get from my little home in suburban, Seattle.
Over time, his passion for radio grew into something that he really wanted to try.
So for the practicum, I didn't know what I was going to be doing going into it, and they asked us what our emphases were, which mine was video. And they said, okay, well, since you're video, we'll put you on the air instead of just having news writing, which that's what everybody else had to do. They just had to come in and write stories every day. And that wasn't very interesting to me. But since I told them I did video, they're like, well, if you want, you can do some pre-recorded news. So I said, sure, why not?
Chas was thrown into the fire pretty early on when he was hired to figure out the ins and outs of radio engineering and master the new programs.
The radio station was doing a huge switch in their automation system. So what fills all the playlists you hear on the air, what makes sure everything plays one step to the next. So the general manager came to me because he had noticed that I was helping other people with computer problems, and I was just doing it on my own time. I just, hey, can you help me with this? Sure, I knew computers and I knew how to work with some of the things, and in my free time at the station, I kind of just dug into the computers to see if I could learn how everything worked. I'm very naturally just kind of explorative in that way, where I just like to figure out what makes things work and things like that. And so he had seen that over the past couple months, and he's, hey, if you're interested, I need a lot of help because we're having a lot of problems with this new system. It's an absolute mess. And he was at the time coming in at 1 a.m. almost every morning because the station kept going off the air. So I said, sure, I'll figure it out. I mean, there was a manual. It was quite a big manual, but it was just really intense technical writing, and it was kind of hard to get around and get through. I just started playing with things. I was pushing buttons. I was trying to see, well, why is this broken? And I went from there. And the new automation system is called Wide Orbit. It's been around since the mid to late 2000s, and it's in about 3,000 to 4,000 stations in the country.
Chas has become a master of all things related to Wide Orbit and is the go-to guy when anyone has a question.
Right now, I am the administrator for Wide Orbit. I am the one in charge. People come and talk to me if they have any problems. I train people on how to use it.
What seemed like an unnecessary and taxing amount of stress turned out to be an enormous blessing.
About a month ago, I applied actually for a job opening at Wide Orbit, thanks to my boss, who got an email saying they're looking for some help, specifically looking for someone to install Wide Orbit or to fix people's installations of Wide Orbit. And as of right now, I've had a handful of interviews. I've been flown out to Dallas, which is where the radio automation is based for Wide Orbit. And I have accepted a job offer at Wide Orbit, which I'll be starting in early January, being a traveling installer and traveling, basically fixing any problems that comes up. I'm also going to be helping build computers for them as well that they give to their customers, and I'm going to be doing that starting in January.
Chas now has a special opportunity to follow his career dream, all because he followed his passion at an early age.
Looking back, there's definitely a lot of times where I was here late at night, and there was a lot of times where I was just frustrated to no end, and I had headaches because I just couldn't figure something out, and we were having issues, and it paid off. I mean, I just signed a job offer.